Hi, and welcome back to the second video in my collection of videos looking back at albums from my record collection. I decided today to go and pick one of my favourite albums from one of the greatest American singer-songwriters of his generation. A man who creates characters and stories and develops songs as they go along, putting everyday people in situations, giving them hope, desperation, despair, and occasional success. Of course, we're talking about the great Bruce Springsteen, and the album I've chosen for my record collection today is one of my favourites of his. It's Darkness on the Edge of Town. This is the follow-up to the more successful Born to Run album. Released in 1978, it got to number 16 or thereabouts in the UK charts, but from this album, I think there's some really good in-depth songs. It starts off with Badlands, a story of youth moving into adulthood, and then continues with two really good strong tracks about his father, Adam Razor Kane and The Factory, giving an in-depth into his father's life as he struggled through the factory. And there's a line in the song that the factory took his hearing, which is a bit of a concern because obviously Bruce loving music and the sounds that music makes is an indication that his father gave away something that really meant dear to him, and that's the ability to hear. Great album. There's also the two other tracks on here that I really liked. Is the final track, Darkness on the Edge of Town, and it's all about the lack of hope and desperation, that there is darkness out there beyond the lights and the controls in which you can put in place. An absolutely amazing album. We can't, of course, looking at the album itself, when I bought this, I bought it back in a few years after it was released, and I actually managed to get my hands on a promo demo copy, which I don't know if you can see, there's a little gold embossed stamp on the bottom of the album, and this is quite good. What I also like about this album is you get the lyric sheets, which with Bruce Springsteen's is a crucial part of listening to the music, listening to the lyrics, reading and working along the narrative that is built in all the songs. And this I quite like as well because it's actually in a typewriter face font, which is quite nice. Again, the album is brilliantly constructed, and with all Bruce Springsteen's albums, you can see that he spent time to develop the narrative of the songs and put them into some sort of collective order. Again, which is what I've said before, is because it's on vinyl, you listen to that narrative. There's no skipping or missing the tracks or putting it into a playlist and flicking them all the way around. Put the album on, listen from side one through to the end of side two, and you've gone through a narrative journey. You've walked the lines with him, you've walked the stories with him, and you've walked the chords with him. In 2010, Bruce Springsteen revisited the Darkness on the Edge of Town tapes and came up with what is now known as The Promise. Now, this is phenomenal. This version is a 3-album version covering tracks, outtakes from The Promise. Now, if these are outtakes, then these outtakes are better than quite a lot of people's best material. Obviously, The Promise was a song that was meant to go on Darkness on the Edge of Town, but didn't quite make it. But if you listen to The Promise, if there was more room on the album, then you would have obviously fit them in, which is what I think happened when he came to do The River, which obviously we all know was a double album. So in this is released 2010, fantastic release. Some of the songs on here are strong in their own right. It includes Because the Night, which was of course released by the Patti Smith Band. But again, the narrative on this song fit easily way into the original Darkness on the Edge of Town, so they both play alongside each other quite happily. I actually love this. I actually love this final album. As I say, it comes with three sleeves with some really dramatic pictures on the covered sleeves. As you can see, the photograph pictures, and also again keeping in with the original album, all the lyrics are in a typewriter font, and again pictures of Springsteen looking in his forlorn sort of little boy lost, hoping to come out and find answers to the questions, and which is developed as he went forward into his music. But again, a fantastic collection, well worth the money spent on it. It's available on CD, and as it is Darkness on the Edge of Town. But once again, the vinyl adds that nice, crisp, clear sound, that depth of character. And again, the stories roll across the well, thank you for your time, Genders. I will look forward to speaking to you again when I dig out yet another vinyl classic. Take care now.